It's been 6 years since someone has been able to repeat as champion of the Amsoil Grand National Cross Country Series. But after a big win last time out in New York, Kailub Russell is taking a big step toward repeating in 2014. Can he wrap up the title today? GNCC Racing is next. Getting down to the nitty-gritty in the championship chase of America's largest off-road racing series. It's the Amsoil Grand National Cross Country Racing Series, presented by Maxxis, and an AMA National Championship is on the line today. Kailub Russell won the title last year, and the 24-year-old out of Ohio is hoping to get it done today in Pennsylvania. The wind turbines will show you the weather is changing rapidly throughout this weekend, and today we'll give you highlights of our ATV competition from Saturday, and then here, Sunday's bike finale. There is Russell on the number one. It's been since 2008, and David Knight out of the UK since someone has successfully defended a GNCC title. Don't let this flat field at the mountaintop fool you. We'll be down to the nitty-gritty in the woods, trees, rocks, logs, mud, and these guys are going to put these bikes through their paces. Yamaha's, of course, dominating off the start. Paul Whibley on the NFAB and Pro Yamaha has the All Balls Racing whole shot. Josh Strang right there with him. A third Yamaha, Jordan Ashburn, was there off the start, but he went down. And no sign of Russell toward the front, although normally not known for the good starts. He has the confidence to make up ground in a hurry. And man, Ashburn has to feel like he could have had that whole shot, but too tight there in the first turn, lost the back end. Third is Jason Thomas. Then it's Chris Bach, Thad Duvall. Ashburn has already gotten himself up near the top 5 after that spill. And waiting there is Russell. Man, he's not even top 10. But then again, our last event at Unadilla, he had a terrible start like this. The bike didn't even fire off the line, and he was in the lead halfway through the first lap. These riders don't want to let that happen. Bach and Thomas picking their way through the rocks. And these rock gardens, that is really going to be the theme of today's event. Don't let those fields that you saw in the first few moments throw you. And don't let the rocks throw you. Ryan Sipes, who has gone down. Takeshi Koikita on the 12 getting by. There is Russell revving the engine, trying to get the riders in front of him to move out of the way. Back to the starting line for XC2. These are the young kids on the 250s. A lot of them running two-strokes. To hear them winding those things out. A furious pack, fun to watch every week. But Grant Baylor, last year's champ, is headed toward another title this year. These riders have a few more opportunities to try to take a win away from him. And the rider who's going to try to do it today is Nick Davis on that 222. Davis has been getting faster the last couple of races, a bunch of podium finishes. Could today be the day where he takes a win? I saw Baylor at about 4th. Out, by the way, is Ricky Russell, the Yamaha rider, who was battling Baylor for the championship. He has a broken wrist, so not racing today. As the kids try to pick their way through this terrain. Michael McGinnis here battling. Trevor Bollinger going by the number 18. Back to our XC1 division, the big 450 bikes. Whibley continuing to lead the way. No wins this year for Whibley. Josh Strang in second. This is the opportunity all these guys are looking for. Shane Watts running across the track there, cheering his rider Jason Thomas on. The opportunity these riders all want. Only 2 riders have won races this year. They're both FMF KTM teammates, Russell and the now injured Charlie Mullins. So every single other rider in this pack, like Whibley and Strang, are hoping today is the day they get their first win of the year. And you can see Whibley hustling, feet off the pegs, bike bouncing around. The veteran from New Zealand does not care. Ashburn getting around Thomas. Stalled motorcycle here for Bach on the Rockstar JCR Honda. Gets it going again. Chris Douglas working his way through the rocks. Then it's Russell, then Duvall, and Delong. Delong been coming on strong lately. First year in the class. Bouncing around the rough stuff on that factory Husqvarna. And you know that he and Duvall are going to try to stay on that rear fender of Russell and see if he can bring them to the front. But right now the Yamahas getting it done. And look at the aggression of Ashburn. He was pressing Strang, and now he's past him to get to second. Still Thomas Oh, and Russell has moved up now behind Bach and ahead of Douglas. Let's give you the Rocky Mountain ATV MC replay of the day, and it's a start. Paul Whibley, he had a season where he grabbed every single pole shot at every single round. He still knows how to get it done off the line. Look at this lead he has heading into the second turn of the race. Bach and Thomas, good starts for them, and they are still toward the front of the pack. But right now, the rejuvenation machine for Paul Whibley. Last year and a half have been tough on him, had a lot of injuries last year, and was unable to defend the championship that he won in 2012, but he looks strong today. Here's Strang. When Charlie Mullins went out of this series with a pair of wrist injuries, I thought Strang was going to be Russell's closest challenger for race wins, but he's got to get going early. Whibley and Ashburn look a little more aggressive than him, and this is the opportunity for the number 4 to get away from Russell, because you know the number 1 is going to be there in the end. So they've got to try to pull away as best they can. Actually, it looks like Ashburn here on the 7 is the fastest rider on the track. He's disposed of Strang and is now going after Whibley. Strang's got to try to keep up and keep Russell behind him as long as possible. And yes, Ashburn has taken over the lead, and the fans responding to it. Bit of a struggle, Ashburn, who moved into this XC1 class early, didn't season himself in XC2 like a lot of the other young riders. Struggled a bit last year, and a lot of folks wondered if he'd be back with a Yamaha factory ride. They gave him another shot, and he has responded big time. A great season for him. 4 podium, top 3 finishes, and a shot at second in the series. He and Strang will be duking it out for that. Strang closing up now, a bit on Whibley for second. And all the while, as the storm clouds roll in overhead behind the riders, they think about the storm that's coming in the form of Kailub Russell. And you got to wonder if the champ is going to get into this battle. You know, the NFAB Yamaha people want to see Whibley and Ashburn stay there. Rocky Mountain ATV-MC-backed Yamaha Strang, his crew wants to see him stay here in the top 3 and bump Russell off the podium for the day. And a rider down. That's Russell. I think that's Jason Thomas still in front of him, by the way. And Bach now. So the champ is on the ropes today. He's ready to mount a furious comeback. Racer TV is brought to you by Amsoil, by Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and by Can-Am. We're back. It's the Car-Mate Mountain Ridge round of the Amsoil Grand National Cross Country Series. Jordan Ashburn, the tall, lanky kid out of Tennessee, getting away from the rest of the field on his NFAB Ampro Yamaha. It has been all Yamaha so far today. Paul Whibley, the number 5, is second. The 4 of Josh Strang. Third, the New Zealander and the Australian doing battle, but the rest of the field is starting to close up. Best race of the season for Jason Thomas. He is 4th, and then 5th is Kailub Russell. And I think Ashburn, he kind of sensed that that pack was going to close up. He decided to really put his head down and push in these early laps, and it has paid off. He has a nice little lead over 2nd and 3rd here. And then they're going to do battle, you know it, with Thomas and Russell. Well, those 4 are all fighting each other. Maybe Ashburn can pull further and further away. Thomas, a former champion of the XC2 class. Debut season in XC1. Not the type of strong early charge we usually see from the number 1. And Unadilla, and look at what Ashburn has to do to navigate those rocks. Well, just as I say that, look, Russell is into the lead. And do I also hear rain coming down? You can hear it through our microphones. So Russell somehow had to get around everyone. Strang has to ditch the goggles. It doesn't matter if you have roll-offs, tear-offs. If you're running through rain, it's going to be hard to see. And you've also have to deal with those rocks that are going to be like riding on ice now that they've been rained on. So what I was going to say is Russell at our last race at Unadilla, bad start, and passed everyone within about half of a lap. Today it has been a little bit slower of a charge forward, but he did pick off a whole bunch of riders in a short amount of time just in the last few miles, and he's now up to 2nd. And he's going to put in a run at Ashburn, you know it. Strang to 3rd. Sans goggles. So really the question is, what has happened to Whibley and Thomas? Big hill climb here. You see the ground still a little bit wet from that brief rain. Ashburn hanging in the lead. Oh, this is craziness. Fans are allowed to get involved and help these guys at the top of the hill, but you got to get out of the way when the motorcycles are coming. Because these pro riders are fast and furious to the top of these things. Look at the aggression from Strang. I think now that Russell has gotten by him, he's ratcheted it up. Now the rain's starting to come back down. Whibley fighting with Bach. And that's Baylor leading the XC2 class. Remember, he started a minute behind these riders in the second row. He's passed a bunch of XC1 riders like Duval. A little bit of a problem there for Thomas. He has dropped back a bit. Delong is there also, but right now, Jordan Ashburn trying to win his first ever Grand National cross country race. But this is tough. This is no man's land. He doesn't have anyone to pace off of. He's just got to keep riding and not think about what's coming behind. But it's so difficult when you've never won one of these things and you have the defending series champ behind you, fresh goggles. You have the defending series champ trying to close in. Very hard to block that out. Russell comes in here on the number 1. It doesn't appear that he has goggles on at the moment either. The rain, again, the tear-off, roll-off systems are designed to clear the lanes of mud and things like that, but they don't have windshield wipers in the goggles. Russell going to keep on hammering. So when it rains, the goggles are only so effective. Nicely done by Ashburn. Weaving his way through the slower traffic. And look at Strang. Strang is now right up on the rear wheel of Russell. And the fans like this action deep in the woods of Pennsylvania. But I still have to wonder if only Strang had pushed early like Ashburn was doing, he wouldn't have to get back around Russell. He would still be ahead of him. Now he's found the pace. And they found more lap traffic. So hard to negotiate these technical sections when a rider in front of you can bounce in any direction and knock you down. Into the NFAB Ampro Yamaha pits. Ashburn getting gassed up. Another set of goggles. Sunshine is out though. Those goggles might be able to get him all the way home. Could today be the day for his first win? There's Eddie Ray, the mechanic, for Josh Strang here, who appears to be in second. So Strang responding to the challenge from Russell. Is today the day Yamaha finally gets a win this year? Racer TV is brought to you by Amsoil, by Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and by Can-Am. It's Racer TV's coverage of the Car-Mate Mountain Ridge round of the Amsoil Grand National Cross Country Series. Let's show you what it looked like this weekend for the four-wheeled set. Chris Borich, 5-time GNCC champ, working on a 6th, but serious pressure coming from the young kid on the number 2. Walker Fowler dominated our last race and is close to Borich in the series standings. And you have to watch for Adam McGill, always spectacular to watch, be it in opening ceremonies or on the track. He's got a race win this year also. But this Fowler-Borich showdown that's starting to brew. Borich won 5 of the first 6 races this year, but Fowler has won 3 of the last 4. So they are nearly deadlocked on points. If Fowler can get a win today, he'll be right back in contention. And a great start for McGill. Kind of a rare hole shot, picking up some money from Twin Air and DeRisi Racing for that. Fowler second. Boy, neither of these two riders are known for great starts, but they have them right now. They are on a mission. And as strong as Fowler has been in the second half of this year, also McGill has picked up his pace as well. And he could be a championship spoiler as he gets out to the early lead today. Kid out of West Virginia is always fun to watch ride. He and Fowler came up through the ranks together. McGill has knocked on the door of this title many, many times. This is Fowler's best year or best shot at it. But he has to get a win today and continue to close the gap on Borich in the standings. And no sign of the number 1 right now. You've got Fowler on the NFAB Ampro Yamaha, McGill in the Racing Power Sports Honda. Brian Wolf up to the number 3 position, and now we see Boric in 4th on his Maxxis-backed Suzuki. His good buddy Chris Bithell next. And we'll see if the 2 Suzuki riders can run in formation and try to close the gap. Looks like Fowler has moved around McGill and into the lead, and also into lap traffic. So he'll have to negotiate that. You can see the difference here on a Saturday. No rain, of course, a little bit dustier. How about the number 9, Bryson Neal, getting in the mix, 2nd year in this XC1 Pro class, and that has been a theme of 2014. Got 3-4 new kids moving in and starting to make noise against the established players. But the most established at the moment is Fowler, pulling away and headed to his 2nd win in a row. And 4 out of the last 5, he broke a chain at West Virginia while leading. That's what broke up what would have been a huge win streak. He's starting to get the points back, though. You look at the Amsoil results. Boric struggling today to 5th. We've got a real showdown brewing for the ATV title. First time we've had that in years. Racer TV is brought to you by Amsoil, by Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and by Can-Am. And they continue to fight their way through the rubble of Pennsylvania. Kailub Russell taking over the lead and then almost going down. He has had to put on a hard charge to catch Jordan Ashburn, who rode so brilliantly, leading the early stages of this race. Here is Ashburn on the Yamaha in 2nd. Boy, it's so tempting to just try to pin it through those rock sections and make up a ton of time. But in this type of racing, you're usually better off going slower to go faster. You go too fast, you go down. You lose a lot more time than you can make up by riding over your head. And then you have to remember that you land on rocks. That hurts you and the motorcycle. And if you run into a tree, those things do not move. So not much margin for error in these woods. Look at Ashburn trying to rev the engine, scare the lap traffic into getting out of the way. He is desperate right now to catch back up. Baylor leading XC2. And he is so far forward physically on the track, he might have a shot at winning the overall of this race. At least taking 2nd away from Ashburn and definitely into the top 3 on adjusted time right now. We've seen this scenario a couple of times this year. Russell gets to the lead in XC1. Baylor puts on a big charge from row 2, and an adjusted time flirts with the overall lead. So Russell has 2 different things to worry about. Ashburn doesn't want to let him off the hook. But the number 1 has got to worry about the other number 1, the number 1 from the XC2 class. Listen to Baylor. Oh, that is so good to hear. A 252 stroke just being run to its limit. And Russell has to know that Baylor is making a push on the clock. Baylor starts 1 minute behind, so if he finishes within 59 seconds of Russell at the finish, he will be your overall winner. Russell doesn't want to let that happen, and he is really on the gas now. It looks like he's going to get the physical overall win. He's got it. Is it enough on adjusted time? Kailub Russell wins this one, and that should be enough to win the championship this year. You see the team already greeting him at the finish with champagne. Here comes Ashburn. Not going to win it, but still I'd say the best race of the year for him, and probably the best race ever for him as a professional. That's nothing to sneeze at, taking more steps toward getting the victory. Here's Baylor. I believe he's going to come up short on time. He's digging. He's pushing. He's got his Class 1 for sure. But you know, he'd love to get one of the overall wins one of these days. Not going to happen. Going to come up about 40 seconds short after 3 hours of racing. And Andrew Delong, wow. What a rally. Last hour of this race, he really put things together. Came from outside of the top 5. It looks like he will take 3rd in the XC1 Pro Division and 4th overall for the day. Here are your Amsoil results. Russell, with that win, will lock up the title for the 2nd year in a row. Sipes, a good run for him as well to finish 4th on his Rockstar-backed KTM. Whibley, Thomas, Douglas, Koikita, Duval, Bach round out the top 10 for the day. There are the points. Russell is champion again. Ashburn and Strang in a great battle for second, but Charlie Mullins expected to return from his wrist injuries at our next race. Now let's drop in on Jen Kenyon at the podium.
All right, Kailub Russell, you've got that piece of hardware in your hand. Do you have any sigh of relief? Do you have a little bit of pressure lifted off your shoulders now?
It's a little bit bittersweet. I feel like it should be number 3, and just kind of allude back to 2012 when I lost it. But it's good to get 2 in a row, and it's been a great year. It's a bummer that Charlie's out and hurt, but I was looking forward to seeing who the best man really was this year, and I was really wanting to race him all the way to the finish again. But it's racing, and he got hurt, and I'm happy to be able to collect a bunch of wins this year and get that championship.
Let's give you the Amsoil race recap. All Yamahas off the start, 1 and 2 with Whibley and Strang. Jordan Ashburn fell in the first turn, but soon passed everyone back, took the lead, and took off. Had a nice gap for a while, but you knew the shark was in the water, and he's going to bite you. Kailub Russell would get up to the number 1 spot. The Yamaha riders, Strang and Ashburn, did everything they could to keep him in sight. But ultimately, the champ just had a little bit too much, and that's why he is once again your GNCC champion. For everyone at Racer TV, thanks for watching.